So like I mentioned, today we're going to do our HIK-Central professional training. Okay, so for the guys that was in the training last week, we did the video part and the CCTV part of it. So that we're going to do the non-video part, training operation. Okay, so this has to do with our access control and so forth. Okay, so if I look at our training objectives today and what we would like to achieve in this physical training, right? We're looking at the master, the access control, the working on HIK-Central Pro. So this is basically how access control is integrated into HIK-Central. Okay, how we were able to add the devices. I'll also give you some explanations of how the access control can be physically used on HIK-Central. Okay, for obviously there's a lot of sales guys on here for how you can basically sell the product to your physical clients. Also for the technical guys that's on here, how we'll be able to assist our clients on site with current issues that they might be having. Okay, we'll also go through our master time and attendance, working on HIK-Central. Okay, so time and attendance, I think that's a bit self-explanatory. Time and attendance we use for people that check in and check out. Okay, so we'll be able to know what time they checked in, what time they checked out. We'll also be able to then run physical reports for those people that works in our companies or in any establishment. We'll be able to see their time and attendance. Okay, we'll also do the master the visitor management on HIK-Central. Okay, I'll give you more detail on that. Okay, then we'll also do the video intercom working on HIK-Central. Okay, so we have access control and then we have video intercom. That's our physical video access control also. We can also use it as access control. Then we'll also use the master configuration. This is for an analyzer. So this we have our walkthrough system, okay, as well as our X-ray machine. I'll physically explain to you. Those are new products that we currently have. Some of you guys are aware of it, but I'll go through it again. And then we'll just go through the detection information records and reports. So what we can do once we have added our physical devices, the physical information we can get from it, the records we can get from it, and the physical reports, because obviously we need record and reports for everything that happens on our time and attendance devices or on our access control devices. So if you're looking at our physical content, right, what we're going to basically go through today is our access control. We're going to go through our basic access control configuration, okay, how to add a device, how to add a physical person, that is our person management, all right, certain permissions that we can allow for certain people. For example, certain areas, we would like certain people to access door 1, and we would like to restrict people from accessing door 2. We can obviously do that also. I'll also go through the advanced access control permissions and applications. Okay, for example, the anti-passback. Okay, the anti-passback allows, for example, if I'm coming into a physical office itself, right, I will scan my physical tag. I then need to walk through that physical door, okay? And the only time I'll be able to access that particular door again is if I scan out on the other end. So if you think at the topology, you have an access control system at entry and you have an access control system at exit, okay? So when I scan in at entrance, I need to scan out at exit in order for me to enter number 1 again. So it's 1 to 2 and then 2 to 1. So in the event I scan at number 1, as an example right now, I'm standing at the door. I scan my physical card, okay? And I don't enter the door. So I open the door and I physically close it. It will not allow me to scan my card again because it is basically restricting me access. That is what is called anti-passback. So that they use a lot at, for example, at schools, where they allow their buddies to go in after them. So what they do is they scan the card, open up the physical door, allow all their buddies to go in, and then they enter the building. Okay, so that is a bit of an issue for concerning that. Okay, then we'll also do the authentication via PIN code. So in the event you have a physical time and attendance device or access control system, you can physically create a code for somebody to access your physical building. Okay. The next one we have is our emergency mastering. Okay, so I did touch on this on the previous training, okay, but I'll go through it again. What is it actually for? Okay, so I'll touch on it right now. Basically, what is emergency mastering? In the event that there's a fire inside of a physical building, right, we can then allow an access control system to allow access at one particular point. So I'll give you a topology or a scenario. There's a physical fire in the Hikvision building, okay, on floor 1. Automatically, when the fire is detected, okay, our control room then will receive a notification. Okay, so you'll either have an operator or you can have it automatically go through. Okay, once it automatically goes through, you can have an exit point. So at the particular door itself, the siren will be released. When the operator or automatically the HIK center can do this, one particular door can physically be opened, right? So that will allow us access or exit out of the physical building itself. Okay, once we get to that physical terminal, we are then able to scan everybody's faces in there. We're then able to run a physical report to see how many people is still left inside of the building, how many people checked in this morning, and who is actually missing. It will actually give us records in the event that everybody has been registered on that particular system itself. Okay, if it was a visitor also, we'll be able to see how many people entered and how many people exited. Okay, we'll also look at our attendance management, our video management, as well as our video intercom. So on our part 1, we'll go through our access control. Okay, so this is just giving us the physical topology on how it actually happens. Okay, so you have a physical access control device itself. Okay, so this is for strict access control. Remember, I said to you, if you do not have physical access to that physical building, you will not be able to have enter that physical building. So you can add a fingerprint, you can add a card, you can have a PIN, or you can have facial recognition, just depending on the device that you physically have. Okay, then we look at easy and effective operation, efficient operation. Okay, and we real-time abnormal handling. Okay, so we'll physically go there. We also have our physical attendance. So we have the different types of attendance reports that we can pull. We can pull a daily report, we can pull a monthly report, we can pull an hourly report. So I want to see how many people entered and who entered in the last 30 minutes, the last hour, last day, last month. We're able to do so. We're also then able to do custom reports. So I can put a report, Robin's report. So on Robin's report, I want to know who was late for the day or how many people came into my particular office. I'm able to do so. Okay. Then we also have the visitor. Okay. So this is the physical paperless process to save costs. So before you would have somebody come in and you have a physical book that you write, Robin came in, Robin White, his name, his address, or whatever it is, his company, his time that he came in. That takes time, it takes effort. You need a physical visitor or an operator to physically sit there and physically do that. With our time and attendance devices and HIK Central itself, we don't physically do that. We can physically send a client either email or a QR code and allow them physical access. So for example, if I'm sitting at Hikvision office right now and I would like Eben to visit me, I will then send him an email which has a visitor code as well as a QR code. As soon as he gets to my physical door, he's then able to scan that QR code. It will allow him access into the building. And immediately I will then receive a notification that, hey, Robin is here, and I can go down and physically meet him. Okay. Also, like I mentioned, you can do the registration in advance. Okay. So if he wants to book an appointment with me, I can physically book it on my physical system today for tomorrow, as an example, and send him through all the notifications. I don't have to do it on the same day. Okay, and then also we can also do the visitor cannot enter the unauthorized areas. Okay, so obviously we do physical restrictions for the particular visitor. If the visitor is only supposed to come to our physical showroom, you will only be allowed access to the showroom. I think that's a bit self-explanatory on that one, right? So we'll go to the next one. This is just the topologies and our product showcases. Okay, so HIK Central is what we basing everything on. So HIK Central Professional. All right. So here we're just showing our physical products. This is our facial terminals itself. So these are our 3 products that we physically have showing on this presentation, as well as our access control. So access control links from we have our HIK Central, which is our physical software itself. Then we have our physical terminal, which is a facial. That might be linked to a access control. That will allow a physical door to open or a physical relay to open. So they all work hand in hand with one another in order for the process to follow. Okay, so if you just look at how to implement the access control function, so the general topology is the same as CCTV. Okay, it's just the difference is when you add in an access control onto HIK Central itself, the only difference is you need to click on the access control function. If you just click on the normal config to add a physical device, you will not be able to do so. Okay, so under the resource manager, you would add via access control. Okay, once the access control has physically been added, you can then add a physical person. Okay, once a person has been added, I can then add a schedule. So the schedule will be, as example, that I want Robin only to have access to the building from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Okay, anytime before then, it will restrict him, or anytime after 5 o'clock will restrict him. Or I can have a flexi shift for Robin, that Robin can access the building at any time. Or I can give him certain access levels. Okay, so I can say that Robin is allowed to go into building A, B, and C, but not building B. Okay, so I can allow him and grant him access. Okay, I can also check the statuses of that physical door for that person. I can physically do troubleshooting. Is there a problem with the physical door itself? What's the problem? Why can Robin not access it? Is it a restriction problem? Did I not grant him access, etc.? Right? Then, if Robin has full access to the building, my device has been added. Robin has been added onto it. I've given him access. I've given him certain restrictions. Okay, I can then physically run a physical report to see when Robin went in at physical door A, when he went into door B. Okay, did he go into an unrestricted area? Because if he scans his card on that unrestricted area, I can physically run a report on that also. Okay, and that's all get done from our web as well as on our control client. Okay, so what I'm going to go is I'm going to go through this video for you. So there's quite a few videos that we'll go through, but I'll explain as the video is playing if there's anything that I find very important for you guys. So like I mentioned, you would go to device management. Okay, you will then go to access control. So if you see there normally to be encoding device, that will be for our CCTV. So very important to go to access control. Okay, very simply, you need to make sure that the device is activated. Okay, you put in the IP address. The port will be default 8000, just depending on topology, username, and password. Okay, or you can physically click on the bottom and then just add the physical device if it's an online device itself. Okay, very simply how to add it. So now we have our access control as well as our facial terminal. So remember, I'm just going to stop it for 1 second over here. Remember, I said to you, in this event, we want a physical facial terminal that's maybe added to a physical door or to a turnstile. Okay, the physical K2604 will allow us then for the relay to open. So as soon as I scan my face, I can then have the door physically opened via the K2604. So that will be for control. Okay, you don't have to have that. If you have a two-wire system or two back-to-backs, if you connect it back-to-back, you don't need the controller. But the controller is there for physical doors if you have two or more doors. Okay, so here we'll so both devices has now been added. So we'll see on our access control, we're showing our doors. So this is a 4-door controller. They showed all our 4 doors. So now we'll do a schedule. So now our device is now physically added. So now I want to set up a schedule for a particular person. Okay. So in this event, we're using just HIK. All right. We'll set up a physical schedule. So that's the authorization that you can have for those particular days. Okay, you can also add a holiday template, for example, a Saturday or Sunday. You can add that also. Okay, so now our schedule's been done. Okay, so now we've added a physical, we can add a physical person. Okay, so the information we can add, or we can import it from the physical device itself. So in the event you have users on your physical terminal itself, you can just pull it in. You don't have to physically add them again. Okay, so once we've added the physical person, we are now allocating. So if you look on the physical video, what is happening right now, the add access level. Okay, so we are saying that we call in this Hikvision training. At the bottom where you see where it says access point. Okay, let me just get this note for you. Okay, over here, these are our access point devices. So the access, that's our facial terminal. Okay, and now we've created maybe subgroups for them. Okay, and these are our physical doors that we have. So like I mentioned, it's a 4-door controller. So that means we have 4 doors. So we are selecting that Robin is allowed to go through one particular access control, and with these particular doors that's added to that controller. So in this event, it will be 2 doors or 4 doors. Okay. Now we are assigning the physical access level to the person. Okay, so these are our staff members. Now we're adding them to allow them to go in by terminal 1, and they allow access to those particular doors. So we are assigning it to them physically right now. Okay, that is very important because a lot of guys add the person, add the device, but they don't create the access level. So very important, you need to make sure that you give them access to those particular devices. Okay, then we need to assign it to a particular group. So we can call the group whatever you want. Remember, I said to you, I gave you an example as Robin's group or Robin's door. That's just to my office as an example. I can create a group for that, and then I can allow only certain people to access my certain office at a certain time. Once it's physically done, I can then go and check on a physical report. Okay, instead of somebody physically going downstairs to physically test, I can go onto HIK-Central itself. I can go and check that the door is allocated, the personnel is being allocated, is there a schedule, is there a card number, is there a face terminal, face being added, which particular terminal. I can physically do that. Any error messages, we'll be able to get it immediately. Okay, it will give us an apply and failed. So maybe there's an issue with my fingerprint or my card. We'll be able to see that immediately. We can then rectify that from HIK-Central itself. There it shows us our physical doors of our devices. Okay, so now somebody's physically scanned in. We can then see that Robin scanned in at this particular time. That's his ID number, that's his card number. This is the particular door he physically used, as well as his physical picture. Okay, then we can physically do our physical reports. Like I mentioned, now I want to see where Robin is or Carol as an example. I can go and click and see what times they physically logged in. I can physically print this report. I can send this report to our HR manager or whoever is physically needing that physical report, all from one particular system. So very easy and very easy to use, like I mentioned. Okay, I apologize. Okay, so moving on to the physical person. Okay, this is sorry, just want to get this out of the way. Okay, so this is for access control part. Okay, so this is the physical steps that we just physically gone through right now. Okay, very important when setting the ID rules for person adding. This is very important. Okay, so it depends on the physical devices that you have. If you have, as an example, the DS-K1T804, these are our old fingerprint readers. Okay, very important that you make sure on HIK-Central itself, you add 8 digits for your card number. Okay, on or for the physical ID and 10 digits for your card number, right? Or by default, make sure that you have a card number allocated to a person. Okay, it's important that you have that. So you can have it in 2 ways. You can have a manually insert a card number, okay, a 10-digit card number, or you can have a physical card that you have, a access control card that you will physically add to that particular person. Okay, that will just help with identification of that person. So in the event that the person loses their card, they can use their face or they can use their finger. So it's just a process that you need to fill in, right? Also mentioning that we have to fill in all the information that we need for that particular person. Very important to do that. Okay, we can also import data. Remember, I mentioned to you, if we have a physical, another device on site, okay, we don't have to physically go and add all the people again. We can import and export from one device A to device B to device C. That will also save us time, and we'll be able to cross-link all our devices together. Okay, then we can also add the credentials, like I mentioned, via a card, or you can use the QR code. Okay, then we can also batch issue card. Batch issue card means if I have 100 staff members, okay, I can then allocate card numbers to them in a batch. Instead of doing it individually, I can create a list with a whole lot of card numbers if I don't physically have a card, and then I can allocate the cards to all my staff members. So I don't have to do it one by one, log into each person. No, I can select all the persons that's on my list and issue cards in a batch to all of them. Okay, then I can also do the customized template for the cards. Okay, it depends on what I physically want to put a name, whatever it is, or allocate that particular card to a person. I can do so. Okay, or I can do the print card or select printer. Very simple also. Okay, so I'm not going to go through much on the physical video itself. There's just 1 or 2 points I want to point out to you guys. This is just physically adding a physical person. Now we created a group, for example, training. Okay, there we look at the ID. So this, I just want to stop for 1 second. Okay, if you look at the physical ID itself, on the training itself, we made it 15 digits. Okay, so by default, it will be 10. In the event you have more staff members or you want to create it longer, it's fine. Create the ID on that. I do advise, however, not to change this. Leave it at the default 10 digits for this. Okay, very important. And obviously we can take a picture or we can upload a physical picture. So if you have a picture on your physical device, on your physical PC, you can upload it from that, or you can pull the details from the physical access control, or you can physically take a picture from that device itself also. Okay, so now we're creating a physical group for all persons. Okay, so this is an Excel one that they're physically showing you. This is just, we want to now add all our persons onto a Excel sheet. Okay, so if we have all the information of our persons, we can add it into an Excel sheet, and then we can also import it. Okay, we can also import it, like I mentioned, via photos. So now we have the photos and all the details on the physical system itself. We can then link it together. Here's Robin's face, and this is the access that I've given to him. So that's basically how we're showing how we're importing the physical devices, right? Physical faces. Now we want to issue a card to that particular person. So I'll select on Carol. I'll give credentials. Okay. So remember, I mentioned you can give a physical card or you can add a card number. So there they've given a physical card itself that they've added. Okay, or you can add, like I mentioned, manually. You see over there? Okay, so that's just basic on how to physically do it. Just remember, I mentioned again, I emphasize this again, because a lot of guys make the mistake of sometimes the device doesn't allow you access. It's because of the card number. So even if you create a virtual card number, just make sure it's 10 digits on our normal facial terminals. If you have a K1T804, that's our fingerprint reader, the first devices that we have, okay, make sure that the card number is 8 digits. I'll actually send that to you guys also. Okay, like I mentioned before, we have the anti-passback function. Okay, so how we can set up the anti-passback function? We'll show you how to do the anti-passback. So selecting doors, for example, entry and exit. Okay, or I can have, I want you to enter at terminal A and I want you to exit at terminal B or at terminal C or terminal D. I can add access for that. Okay, then I'll just show you how the routing physically works. And then physically the card reader order. Okay, so it physically shows you how the topology works on how to set the anti-passback. Okay, then I can also do the check-in results as well as the forgive regularly or manually. Okay, I think I need to play that video for you guys so you can understand how it actually works and how to physically add it. So this is more technical part, but very informative. So now here we have a physical map itself. So this shows us our layout of our physical building. Okay, so we can physically see where our physical doors is. So we remember we can add a map and then we can create an anti-passback area for this particular person. So we say we allow you to go in at door A and door B. We select the physical doors we want you to do. We allow you access or we deny you access. Okay, very nice option. Like I said on the map, we're then able to see exactly live where this particular person has physically logged in. Okay, so there we're just showing the physical records that now she's logged in. Okay, now we'll set up the physical route. So we're just showing you how the route is of where she needs to be and where she's not allowed to go. So now we have card reader 1, card reader 2, we have card reader 3. Okay, so we're setting up a route for Carol to walk through. So she has to start at door A then go to door B, and then go to door C as an example. If she skips any one of those particular doors, she won't have access to go to the following place. So if you just look at it between 1, 2, 3, and 4, if she misses number 3, she won't have access to go to number 4. Or if she misses number 3, she won't be able to go back to number 2. But this, I'll give you more detail on the physical anti-passback also. I know for the sales guys, it's a bit over their head right now, but I'll physically explain how it actually works. Okay. So I'm not going to go through much of the rest of the videos. So I'm just going to do explanatory on whatever it is that is on the physical slides. Okay. Then we can also have the enable authentication via physical password. Remember, I can create a physical PIN. Okay. I can create a 6-digit PIN. Same topology as you have if you go visit an estate. Somebody will send you a PIN via your phone. You get to your physical gate. You then put in the PIN, whatever the PIN might be, you put in the PIN, and then it will allow you access to the physical building. Okay, we can do that. We can elect a PIN or a code itself, or you might have a QR code, just depending on it. Okay, then we can also have our person information page. So also like you saw, if we have a physical Excel sheet, so I have all my staff members on a physical sheet itself. Okay, I can then allocate the information on that physical sheet. I can then create their physical card numbers onto the sheet. Okay, I can then import that into HIK-Central via Excel, okay, and then I can attach it to their physical pictures on the physical system itself. Or if I want to do it physical manually, if it's a new site, okay, I can then go to the physical terminal. I can then enroll all the staff members on the physical terminal, and then I can import all that data. Okay, once I have that data, I can also save it to Excel. In the event I need to edit something on the sheet, maybe I want to edit a name or a contact number, I can then edit it, import it back to my system, and it will automatically update from HIK-Central to the physical terminal. That means I don't need to go to the physical terminal again to update anything. Okay, and I can set reader authentication via password very simply again, like you saw on the physical video. Okay, and then I can do my physical reports. Okay, so physical reports via web or control client. Okay, so again, the emergency mustering, I touched on it earlier, what it actually is. I'll go through it one more time again. In the event we have a fire, as an example, in this physical building, okay? In order for us to have access control and for it to have emergency evacuation, we need to make sure that we add our physical persons that works in that particular building. Very important that all our staff members that work in that particular building, as well as our visitors that come to our office, is enrolled. Okay, so in the event that there's any issues, a fire breaks out or in some type of disaster, we need to make sure that all our staff members as well as our clients is out of our building, right? So we create a physical access control point. Okay, so in the event that a fire does happen, we can have a physical door that will automatically open for us, meaning that the access control will be free. The door can physically open. We can then have a physical terminal there so that everybody can scan their face. We can then run a physical report to see who is still inside of the building, how many people are clocked in the morning, and who is still missing. Okay, so that will allow us a great way for emergency. Okay, so in the event a fire gets on scene, they can ask you how many people is still inside of the building. In the event there is somebody, here's a physical report. Robin is still stuck in his office, or person A hasn't checked out in the physical point itself. So how it will work again? So in the event there's a fire, we will then go through point A. It will allow us free access. I will walk through. I will then physically scan my face on a facial terminal and then go to the evacuation point. All the staff members will physically follow and do that. So again, in the event that somebody is still stuck in the building, a report can be run and we can have it on hand. Okay. And then also we can click on the emergency button in the event there's an emergency. The system can automatically do that. So once a fire is alerted, we can have a physical siren. The alarm can then physically go off. Or if you have a physical operator, he can manually do the fire roll or the roll call for emergency. So I'm not going to touch too much on that on the video. Okay. Then we're also looking at our attendance function. Okay, how to add an attendance checkpoint. This is exactly what I said to you. So we have an attendance checkpoint at terminal A and terminal B. Okay, it will show you just how to add it, how to set a physical general rule. The general rule will mean in the event there's a fire, please allow access. Or if the alarm goes off, it's a fire alarm, door A needs to open and everybody needs to go to checkpoint B. We can also have a physical, either a screen or a physical voice prompts that can obviously notify staff members that there is a fire in the building. Please go to checkpoint A or checkpoint B, just depending on where the actual fire is. The HIK-Central can physically pick up, obviously, like I mentioned, if it's in terminal A and the fire is in terminal A, it will then reroute you to another section inside of the physical building. Okay, then we can set your overtime option. We can also set our leave time option. Okay, we can set our breaks as well as our assigned physical shifts. Okay, so I'm not going to go through much on that. Okay, also what I want you to know is if when we're doing our attendance, okay, this is for our physical time and attendance physical devices itself. Okay, we can set overtime for physical staff members. So in the event we want staff to work overtime, we can set the time period, for example, 1.5 or 2.5 for weekends or anything after a certain time period. So after 5 o'clock, anything after 5 o'clock must be automatically calculated as overtime. We can physically do that. We can then physically set our leave time. Okay, if a staff wants leave or it's a physical holiday, for as an example, we can then set it as leave. Or if they want physical leave on a weekend or during the week, then we can automatically set it on their physical timetable itself. So we can preempt that this particular person is going on leave between the 1st and the 3rd. We will automatically pull that through to our system. So when payroll happens, it will automatically update. So it's not manually where somebody has to physically go and change all the details. Okay, we can then set our break timetable. I think that's self-explanatory for an hour, 2 hours, it depends on how long you want your staff to be going on break. Okay, then we can also check raw and attendance records. What is the raw details? So in normal, the normal function of time and attendance, it will show us the time I checked in, the time I went on lunch, the time I left the office. Okay, because now I've set a schedule for Robin. So I'm saying Robin starts at 8 o'clock, he goes at lunch at 12 o'clock to 12:30, and he leaves the office at 5 o'clock. So normal reports, I can pull for that. Okay, in the event I want to see how many times Robin left the physical office, or how many times Robin went to the cafeteria, or how many times Robin went into terminal B, for the example, I can physically run that report for Robin and I can physically see what is Robin's movements for that particular day. So that is raw details. Or in the event there was a problem on the physical terminal and the HR comes to me and say, Robin, but you weren't at work on this particular day. Okay, maybe I was late for work. I can still go to them and say, please run my raw details. I was at work. Then they will be able to see that Robin came in at 8:10, and on the raw details will give me my movement for the particular day. Okay, or I can do like I mentioned also, we can do the physical reporting. I can customize the report and I can export the report. So we can export it to Excel, CSV, as well as PDF, just depending on how your HR system physically works. All right. Also, this is just the visitor function. Okay, so most of us were in the physical training before, but I'll touch on this again. So, for example, if I have a visitor that like to visit our Hikvision showroom, okay, if I have all these physical details, I will then physically load him as a visitor on the HIK-Central site itself. Okay, I'll log into the HIK-Central, or I'll go to my administrator and say, hey, Eben needs to come to my physical office, okay, between 8 o'clock and 1 o'clock. I can then create access for Eben. So as soon as he gets to my physical door, he will then, he will receive an email. Okay, you can either print the email or you can use his actual device itself, or his cell phone, which would have a physical QR code with all his information. As soon as he gets to the physical door, he will scan the QR code. The access control then will allow him access into the building. Okay, if he's granted access, once he gets into the building, I will then receive a notification because I've given him access to the physical building itself. Okay, I will then receive an email that Robin Eben is here to come physically visit you. Okay, then we can also do the self-service reservation. Okay, so this you can get a self-service reservation, like I mentioned, you can send it to me, or if he physically comes to the physical office, we have two options. If we have an administrator that's physically sitting behind the desk, or a receptionist, they can physically enroll the client, okay, either on the visitor terminal, if you have a visitor terminal, or directly onto HIK-Central itself. Okay, so in the event it's on HIK-Central, the administrator will log on to HIK-Central itself, onto the web client, will then add all the client's details, and you can give him a physical printout or send him an email to his device itself. So in the event we don't know who he is, we can still enroll him onto the system, or you can physically go to our visitor terminal, punch in all his physical details. The administrator will then give him physical rights, and then you will be able to access our building. Okay. So the next one, this is our video intercom function. Okay. This is just basically showing us how to add the physical device. This is via our resource manager. We can set a device type. We can set our recipients. We can send a link, a physical doorbell or person. Okay. So I'm going to physically play this video for you after this. I just want to show you the physical topology. So remember, I mentioned we might have a HIK-Central station, or we have a master station. A master station we can use in, for example, in a hotel room as an example. Okay, so this will be a concierge where our physical operator will sit, or our security guard will sit. Okay, he will then be able to control exactly what is going on the physical building. We can then give access to a person coming to a physical door. He's then able to call through to a particular room or from one physical device itself. Okay, so it just shows us we have a outdoor station, which is our KD8003. That's our physical door station outside. So you ring the physical door, it will then ring to our indoor station, which is our KA6320. Okay, which is linked to our PoE, okay, and then links to our HIK-Central. Or we can have a master station itself, okay, also KD8003. We can have a keypad option. Remember, if you have a code for the device, we can click in our code and then we can have access, or you can have a card, or we can physically just ring the button itself. So if we know which extension, or we have a physical button, for example, number 1 would be reception, number 2 would be door 2, number 3 would be whatever it might be. You click on it, it will automatically ring through to the concierge or to our indoor station, just depending. Okay. Then if you have a physical camera also, that's added to this terminal. As soon as there's somebody at that door, as soon as he rings the door, we can then obviously see who the particular person is. Okay, on our outdoor stations, if you can see on our KD8003, it does have a built-in camera also. Okay, so I'm going to play you the video. Okay, same topology. We just click on the video. So now we want a video intercom. Okay, you click on the video intercom. If you know the IP address, you can add it via IP, or you can go to your online devices. Okay, once it's under your online devices, you are then able to add it to your device management. Okay, which is the top of your, basically on your screen itself. And that will allow you access to add people or add faces or give access. Okay, very important that you make sure that the device is online and activated. Okay, same thing, set up a schedule, okay, for the particular person. Okay, we're looking at the core parameters. We can set the physical tone, what we want the physical tone to be, how long we want the physical ringer to ring, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, we can physically set that also. Okay, here is just showing us what access we want and to what room we want. Okay, very important. Room 101 would be if it's a one-to-one system, for example, KD8003 to one indoor station, we just call in one-to-one device itself. So that's the call-in number, which will be 101. Now it's just showing us we link in a physical person to a particular door. Okay, exactly the same like we do with the time and attendance, we do with the facial and the access control. Now, the example, somebody's active at the door itself right now on HIK-Central itself. We are then able to see who's at the particular door. If we accept that particular person, we can unlock the door, we can end the call, or we can keep the door physically locked also. Okay, we can physically record a video as well as our live view. It's just showing us that we can physically do the recording. We can save the recording on that particular event. So somebody was at the particular door. It shows us how we answered the door. It shows who was at the physical door, and we can do physical recording like I mentioned, or we can have physical two-way audio with the person. Okay, that's at the end of the conversation. So somebody's at our door, we can have a two-way conversation with him to verify that that particular person is at the door. In the event there is no facial. Yeah, we can physically call an operator, or we can call to a particular room as an example, okay, to find out, is this person at home? Can I allow Robin access into the physical building? We are able to do so, or from HIK-xample. Doesn't look like Carol wants to answer, so it'll hang up. Okay, and then just again, our physical reports, okay, our call reports. What particular door was accessed, what particular device, at what particular time. We can physically export that report itself. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the reporting. The reporting is exactly the same as the time and attendance, but obviously just for access control. Okay, then we have our smart security inspection. Okay, so this is what I'm going to touch on quite a bit on it. Okay, so we have now what is called our SDK, or our security inspection analyzer. Okay, as well as our walkthrough detector. Okay, so a lot of you guys are familiar that Hikvision do have walkthrough detectors. Okay, this is a metal detector. We have two different types. We have a normal metal detector that just does normal metal detection, or we have a metal detector that has a people counting function. Okay, so everybody that walks through will be counted, as well as we have the one for the temperature screening. Okay, so when we had this in COVID, it will allow us to check the physical temperature of the person before they enter our physical building, as well as check for any metals on that particular person or any weapons. Okay, so in the event we have, for example, we have now a third party walkthrough metal detector. Okay, we can then use what is called an intelligent analyzer. So I'll give you an example. Your client already has a metal detector. He has a physical x-ray on site itself. He has now his own cameras. Okay, we are then coming in as Hikvision, and we want to change his system to HIK-xample. Okay, we change the system to HIK-xample itself. It's fine. We're using our physical software. Now the client says, what about all my other devices? We cannot just go in and then throw out all the client's devices. We can't do that. Okay, client has spent 10 million rand, and now we come in and say, oh, we need to buy new products. No, we don't need to do that. We want to use HIK-xample because now we want to move the client over to Hikvision products. Okay, we can then add our Hikvision products as normal, and then we can integrate all his other devices that he currently have on site using our intelligent analyzer. Okay, our intelligent analyzer will allow us to pull in third-party devices onto physical HIK-xample itself, and we can use these physical devices on our physical platform itself. Okay, so very nice function. Also, if you see over here, we have what is called our X-ray inspection systems. Okay, we do have trained on this X-ray inspection devices. Okay, we do have a generation A and a generation B. We've just released the generation B X-ray machine. I do advise you guys to please attend that X-ray training. If you haven't and you need any details on it, also please send me an email and I would gladly assist you with that. Okay, mention again, this is our intelligent analyzer, and that allows us to combine video and our physical devices. So all our third-party devices, maybe the client has an X-ray machine, or he has a metal detector or physical third-party cameras, we can then add it directly through to our inspector, okay, our analyzer, and then we can pull this through to HIK-xample. Okay, again, this is just showing us how to physically do digital signage terminal, okay, and then physically how to physically add the terminal to it. Okay, so add an intelligent analyzer walkthrough detector. Okay, that is what I showed you before. So you have an analyzer or your metal detector, how we physically add it to HIK-xample. Okay, what we need to do, the parameters that we need to add, we need to add for certain channels. Okay, we also need to check the package information for each person. Okay, for example, whatever packages is coming through, what are we physically detecting? We can then set notifications that if it's a can that's coming through, or if it's a firearm that's coming through, okay, we want to have certain alerts for it. We can then set it up. Or if we allow certain things to go through, we can then remove our access or certain restrictions on that also. Again, we can then check our package detections by our physical report itself, okay, as well as our how many times a physical person walked through that particular door. Remember, we have the facial terminal also to do access control also on our terminals that we can add. Okay, so I'm going to show you the physical video. This is just going to show us the topology and how to physically add it. Sorry, guys. There. My apologies. Again, if you see the device type, you need to select the analyzer. Make sure that you select the device correct protocol when adding your devices. If you could add it as an encoding device, it won't assist us. So if you look on the left-hand side, very important, you need to know what device you added. So if it's an encoding device, you'll add an encoder. If it's access control, you add an access control. If it's an inspection device, you need to make sure you click on security inspection. Otherwise, it will not add on to HIK-Central itself. Okay, very important. Then to show us where we want our data to be stored. Okay, do we want it on a P store? Do we want it on a server? Do we want it on a physical hard drive? You need to make sure that you select the storage of the data. Okay, so there again is showing you the physical detections. What do we want to be able to detect? Like I mentioned, you can add or you can remove certain devices that you want, okay, depending on the client's physical application. If it's only firearms that they want to detect, then you only select firearms. If it's only metal cans, for example, if they're working on a physical production line and they only want to detect certain metals, you can only put on for certain metals, okay? There we're showing that this particular person has now passed through. I'll give you an example. You are at a physical terminal at a physical airport, okay? I have now put my bag on our X-ray machine, okay? The bag physically passes through. I'm then able to see the physical content inside of the bag, okay? So not only on the conventional X-ray machine, you would only be able to see an image. We can now physically see, it will show you it's liquid, it's a gun, it's a knife, it's whatever it is that we specified on that terminal itself. We'll be able to get the physical details. As well as, so Robin has now put through this physical device, this bag, okay? And now he's got a bottle inside and a watch. So the watch and the bottle is not, it's not allowed, okay? I can then see that this is Robin that put the bag in, okay? I can't deny because it will show me, it will show the physical bag, the color of the bag, it will show the physical content inside of the bag. Also, when I go to the end to go collect my bag, it will physically show that this is the person that collected a particular bag. So you can't just snatch somebody else's bag or say, you know what, the bag that went through doesn't belong to me. So as soon as you get to the X-ray terminal, it will pick up your entry and your exit. They give me an example. It can show you the name of it. This a scissor, for example, or a knife or a gun, whatever you have specified, we are then able to pull records for. There again, we're showing the records. Okay, that's a particular bag. That's the content inside of the bag. We can link it to a particular face. Okay, we want to see who's this particular person. So there it will show you. Lady's coming with her bag. Bag went through the metal detector. We're then able to see the physical person as well as the reports itself. We're also able to see the reports for our metal detector itself, okay? Who walked through the physical metal detector, where the physical, on the physical report, it will show you, was there a knife on the top half of the body, lower half of the body? bottom end of the body. Okay, so our metal detector works in the algorithm like that way. We have 18 zone door as well as 33 zone door. What does that physically mean? That when I walk through a physical terminal, it can automatically pick up that there's metal on particular places on my body. Okay, so that the operator doesn't have to go and say, sir, please remove your jacket, please remove your top, or please remove your shoes. You'll be able to automatically say that there is something inside of this guy's pocket. Sir, ma'am, sir, please remove keys from your pocket, or please remove anything from particular area of your physical body. Okay, so that's the end of the physical training, guys. If there's any questions, like I mentioned before, please feel free to send me a message.